Hey there, and welcome to this video. Today, we're flying Air Canada economy class from Toronto to Montreal, but in a preferred seat on their Airbus A220-300. Preferred seats on Air Canada are designated as such because they have extra legroom and/or are in a preferable location. These include seats in bulkhead rows, exit rows, or in the first few rows near the front of the aircraft. For this flight, I selected seat 12F, which is in the bulkhead row in the first row of the economy cabin. On Air Canada's A220 aircraft, only 4 of the 25 rows are designated as preferred seats. These include row 12, which is the first row of the economy cabin, and rows 19 through 21, which are the overwing exit row and the 2 rows behind it. All preferred seats on this aircraft feature extra legroom over the standard seats elsewhere in the cabin. The aircraft taking me over to Montreal today is this 8-month-old Airbus A220-300 that was delivered to Air Canada in July 2021. As of January 2022, Air Canada was operating a fleet of 27 Airbus A220s, with an additional 18 aircraft on order for delivery through 2024. They took delivery of their first A220 in December 2019, with the inaugural flight taking place in January 2020. Stepping on board, I first passed through the 3-row business class cabin, which consists of 12 recliner seats in a 2-2 configuration. Moving into the economy cabin with 125 seats in a 2-3 layout, my seat is in the first row with the bulkhead wall separating economy class and business class directly in front of it. The seats have a leather surface on both the back and base, which give it a very clean-cut and consistent appearance. This seat style is the new standard across all of Air Canada's narrow-body fleet, with the wide-body aircraft such as the 787 and 777 receiving fabric seat surfaces and leather headrests. The adjustable headrest at the top of the seat has both the Air Canada logo and preferred stitching, as well as red pops of color on the sides. The headrest is height adjustable and also has folding sides to provide better support. Looking at the rest of the cabin, these brand new A220s have a very modern feel, with crisp ceiling lighting and modern slimline seats. I really like the color contrast between the dark seats and the calming bright blue ceiling, and I find that the ceiling lighting gives the cabin a very open and airy feel, not something that's very common on single-aisle aircraft. In terms of storage space for this seat, being in the bulkhead row, floor storage is not permitted. There was, however, lots of space in the overhead bins, and since I boarded fairly early in Zone 2, I had first dibs on where to store my carry-on and personal item. Looking at the legroom in the seat, it's incredibly impressive. I have tons of room to stretch out, and it doesn't feel cramped at all. Such a massive difference from the standard seats in the rest of the cabin, and even a big difference when compared to other preferred seats on board, like those in the overwing exit row. Taking a look at what we have in terms of entertainment at this seat, since there's no seat back in front to mount the entertainment screen on, it's instead mounted on the bulkhead wall. I much prefer this to the alternative, which is having it pop out from the armrest, as having it on the wall gives you a much better viewing angle. The screen is a different model from that used on Air Canada's 737 MAX aircraft and is similarly sized, though feels like it might be just slightly smaller. Lower down on the bulkhead wall near the floor, there's an individual pocket for each seat for storing the provided reading materials and any other items you wish to put here. Looking at what's provided, we have the safety information card for the Airbus A220 and a couple air sickness bags. Underneath the seat row, there are AC power outlets, with the outlets located on the armrest in between the seats. There are 2 outlets for my row of 3 seats. Now that I've settled into my seat, let's take a look at our view out the window. Row 12 is in a nice spot just ahead of the engine, and it looks like we'll be getting some nice weather for our short flight this afternoon. The engines on the A220 are notoriously quiet, even when sitting this close to them. This makes for a relatively peaceful journey. We've covered most of the seat tour by now, and it's 12:58 p.m. as we begin our pushback from the gate. Expected flight time over to Montreal is just under 1 hour.
Every effort should be made to finish your drink or food within a period of no longer than 15 minutes. side pocket or magazine rack.
Welcome aboard. Please place baggage in the overhead bin or under the...
With the safety information video underway and the engines up and running, we're now taxiing over to runway 33 right for our departure from Toronto.
Safety features of this aircraft. Please review it sometime before takeoff.
Un air pénétré placé dans la pochette ou le porte-revue près de vous explique les nombreuses mesures de snap.
Attention flight attendants, take position for takeoff, please.
After a very windy and bumpy takeoff from Pearson Airport, we're climbing our way up to cruising altitude and heading east towards Montreal. Much like the 737 MAX, which I reviewed the preferred seats on previously, the windows on the Airbus A220 are huge and let in tons of natural light. This is a big contrast to the tiny windows on Airbus's A320 line of aircraft. The windows on this aircraft are also equipped with standard pull-down window shades for blocking out light. With the extra space in this preferred seat, I have access to 2 full windows. Shortly after takeoff, while still climbing, the cabin crew handed out Clean Care Plus kits, which Air Canada distributes to all passengers on all of their flights as a part of their commitment to passenger safety during the pandemic. In these kits, we have some individual packets of hand sanitizer, some disinfecting hand wipes, and a multi-layer disposable face mask. The armrests in between the seats in this row are not movable on either side, primarily because the tray table is stowed in the left armrest. While this does give you some more definitive boundaries on your personal space, it can be annoying if you have a spare seat next to you and want to stretch out, since you can't really do that. The tray table that folds out is fairly large and quite sturdy, with the ability to be used in either a half or full-sized configuration. It's also mounted on rails such that it can slide inwards and outwards. Shortly after I popped out my tray table, the cabin crew began the complimentary in-flight food and drink service. On this short flight of less than 1 hour, you're provided with a drink of your choice and a packet of pretzels on the afternoon flights. Another perk of being in row 12 is that you're first in line to be served in the economy cabin. Looking around the seat a bit more, on the panel above the seat there are personal reading lights and personal adjustable air conditioning vents, along with an attendant call button for the row. The control button for the light is located on the panel as well, as opposed to being controlled from the screen. Moving onwards, let's take a look at the seatback entertainment system mounted on the bulkhead wall. This system is loaded with lots of on-demand content, including movies, TV shows, music, audiobooks, and podcasts, with a good range of content available under each submenu. Each type of content is grouped into different sections by genre, recommendations, or other themes. There is also a games section and a dedicated kids content section with movies, TV shows, games, and music targeted to kids. In general, the touch responsiveness of this screen is really good, making it super easy to use, and the graphics quality is very high. Also on the screen, you can access the food and drink items available on today's flight, you can view your flight arrival information or destination guides, and even up-to-date news headlines from AFP. Of course, there's a section with the in-flight maps, which are super high quality and have tons of different viewing options available. As with the new systems on all of Air Canada's updated aircraft, this is generally a really pleasant entertainment screen to use. In the settings menu, you can adjust the system volume, display brightness, and turn off the screen, as well as enable various functions like parental control. The screen is not tilt adjustable like those at regular economy seats, but the viewing angle is generally pretty good for someone of average height. On the lower edge of the screen, there are 2 headphone ports for connecting to the system audio, along with USB 3.0 and USB-C ports for charging your devices. One negative thing about having the screen mounted on the bulkhead wall is that it's very far away from you, forcing you to reach to control it as there are no remotes provided at these seats. Connecting to the headphone ports on the screen would also be quite a struggle, testing the limits of your cord length. But to remedy that, there's another headphone port located on the armrest. Taking a walk to the back of the aircraft and checking out the rear lavatories, they are very modern and well lit, with bright strip lighting in the wall mirror. The mirror itself is huge in an effort to make the space feel larger, but in reality the floor area of the lavatory is quite small, with only enough room to pivot. There are 2 lavatories located in the rear, adjacent to the galley, and another lavatory located at the front of the aircraft. Generally, the front lavatory is reserved for business class, meaning that even though I'm seated in the first row of economy, I have to trek all the way to the back to use the washroom. Taking a look at the cabin as I head back to my seat, the 2-3 layout in economy class does seem kind of lopsided at first, but it's grown on me. It's the best of both worlds to appease those traveling in odd or even groups of people, except of course the solo traveler like myself. At least on the left side you can always count on avoiding the middle seat. One of the other comfort features of these aircraft is that they're known for having wide seats and aisles, boasting the widest economy seats of any Air Canada aircraft at 19 inches across. As we get ready to begin our descent towards Montreal, let's talk a bit about how much a preferred seat will cost you. On the Toronto-Montreal route, when traveling on a standard or flex economy fare, these seats cost $23 Canadian each to select, while a standard seat costs $11 or $12 Canadian, depending on whether you select the window, middle, or aisle. On the higher-end economy fares, such as Comfort or Latitude, preferred seats are included free of charge. These prices are specific to this route, however, and they're typically higher for longer flights. Thanks for joining me for this video and short flight over to Montreal. Now for some final thoughts on the seat and the flight in general, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that these seats in row 12 of the Airbus A220 are probably the best you're gonna get on this aircraft and in most of Air Canada's economy cabins. The legroom is unbeatable, rivaling that of the business class seats up front, and you get served first and get to disembark first after arrival. Moving past the seat and all of its greatness, and talking a bit about the aircraft in general, with huge windows and modern cabin touches, this is easily one of my favorite single-aisle aircraft. Leaps and bounds ahead of Airbus's A320 series in terms of cabin comfort and feel.
Welcome to Montreal. The local time is 1:56 p.m. Please remain seated.
So to answer the question of would I splurge again and pay the extra $23 for one of these preferred seats on just an hour-long flight? Absolutely. Stay tuned for more videos like this where we explore the preferred seats on some of Air Canada's other aircraft and new trip reports coming soon.